Paul Green here, former British Paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group Operator. Over the past decade, I've trained thousands of elite soldiers from all different sporting backgrounds. In this video, I am going to be reviewing from the Men's Health YouTube channel, The Witcher and his training to get into peak performance for the very popular series. Let's get cracking, straight into it, gentlemen.
Hi everyone, I'm Cavill and I play Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher. I'm here today to talk about some of my training and how it has differed over the years, especially from movies like Immortals and Superman up until now in The Witcher. I'm going to show you some of my movements with my trainer that applied to my weights regime. Every morning I started with fasted cardio and then I did a weight training regime which happened whenever I could fit the workout in with my schedule. And I'm going to show you some of those movements now.
One thing to pay close attention to here is I think this training program is mid-recording. So these guys are actually recording for 6 to 10 hours a day. They're on their feet, they're doing stunts, they're doing shooting. So what he is doing in this video may be keeping him at a certain level. These things, if he's doing this mid-recording, mid-series, maybe keeping him at his current performance. He doesn't do these in order to develop and build the structure. He may be doing these to maintain his current performance. Just something to bear in mind.
This is my trainer Dave Rienzi, and he has guided me through a couple of years now of various programs, and for The Witcher in particular we had to focus on things which would support the level of stunt work that I was doing.
Absolutely, and really with all the stunt work he's doing, the key foundation movement we're going to incorporate is the Romanian deadlift to strengthen the posterior chain. He's doing a 4-second negative with this, and then a 2-second pause at the bottom, and then coming back up, tracting the glutes. And the whole key here is just maximizing time under tension, so he's able to fatigue the muscles more, but not overstress his nervous system and his adrenals.
Interesting what he said there. So typically when people go into the gym and they do deadlifts, they stack a lot of weight on the bar, and a lot of weight on the bar is great for developing power and developing strength. However, notice how their priority is time under tension and getting peak contractions of the glutes and hamstrings rather than building strength. Now there is no doubt this body here has went through a significant strength building phase. However, at the current part of his program, not a priority. So it would lead me to believe he is currently at peak performance. It's very important to distinguish whether the person you are looking and potentially taking ideas from, where they're at in their own training, right? Because these guys are absolute legends. Who wouldn't want to look like this guy? He's absolutely unbelievable, great looking guy, good shape, but you have to have critical ability to critically think and challenge what they're doing.
Which helps because the days are long, and it's important for me as an actor to go through all of this, whether it be in the morning or the evening, and still have the ability to come to set and perform as an actor to the highest level, to have the endurance to do all the stunts without getting injured, and to have the neurological capacity to be a great partner to my showrunner.
So important what he's just said there. His priority is not the weight room, right? His priority is having the brain function and the physical capacity to do his priority job role, right? And this applies to those of you that do jiu-jitsu, right? When you're coming up to peak performance in your jiu-jitsu career, or you're coming up to peak performance in any of your sports, weight training may take a maintenance role rather than a developmental role. This stuff that he's doing here is not going to build his capacity. He's already there. It's just about maintenance for him, right? It's about him maintaining freshness of his brain for problem solving when he's acting, in his stunts, because all of the other stuff is the priority physical stuff. This is now taking a serious supporting role in allowing him to do that as well as possible, right? However, there is no question that he has absolutely went through building his strength to get to this point. You don't simply just go into a maintenance performance phase because your priorities are elsewhere without doing the underlying improving capacity work. Because remember, this bloke has built himself up to be doing acting and stunts for 8 hours a day. That is a lot of volume. Typically we see actors and it's all about getting themselves, muscles in front of the mirror, looking good. They are fit because they have to be, right?
He's doing a 4-second negative with this, and then a 2-second pause at the bottom, and then coming back up, contracting the glutes.
I love that. I love the tempo, and I particularly love the tempo, the pause at the bottom. So with these guys, and with most people that are athletic, the hamstrings are a very injured muscle, right? Especially when you're sprinting. So when you're doing a lot of running, when you're sprinting, your leg extends, your knee actually extends into a quite a lengthened position, and that's a very vulnerable position, especially for hamstring injuries. So the fact that their coach is providing him with this as a priority exercise is really good shout, because if he's doing a lot of running, he's doing a lot of sprinting, his hamstrings are going to be in work in that extended position. So targeting in the gym here just gives him that warm and fuzzy feeling that he's going to be okay in these positions in work. So a great logical approach to, and this is why I do these videos, to his situation, right? This exercise wouldn't be the priority if the main risk of what he was doing wasn't the hamstrings, right? So for you, the viewer, you've got to think about what is the most vulnerable part of your body for the current training that you're doing, whether that's jiu-jitsu. What's the most vulnerable part of your body for that? And apply a priority exercise in your training week to solve that problem in the gym. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that. And if you don't, comments below. I'll give you some more.
What we do with this technique here is I have him utilize a hip circle above his knees. So basically, with incorporating that, he's activating his glute medius and really keeping the glutes activated and fired the whole time. So the next exercise we're utilizing here is a hyperextension. We're actually doing this on a glute ham machine, which is going to be more challenging than a traditional hyperextension machine. And what we're focusing on here is isolation, really contracting the glutes at the top, holding each repetition for 2 seconds, and really continuing the conversation and making sure the posterior chain is as strong as possible.
When it comes to the posterior chain and the kind of stunts I have to do, especially when it's pirouettes with swords, anything which is based upon one leg movement where a knee can have a bad injury if you don't have that glute medialis engaged or that posterior chain, this stuff is what saves me.
And the focus here is again on isolating the posterior chain, really activating the glutes in the lower back. He's performing the repetitions by pausing.
One thing I want you to take away from this video, right, I'm going to end it soon, is that he is not trying to mimic his sword fighting and his craziness. He is not doing kettlebells. He is doing basic fundamental movement patterns in the gym to support the craziness. He is keeping strength development or, foundation movements, and he is the skill of his acting and his stunts completely separate. Because a lot of people start doing holding a barbell and doing sword fighting movements. With that, you get less of the strength benefits and you get less of the skill development benefits. So it's very important that he's just doing basic movements that target the key areas of the demands in which he's trying to counteract. Hamstrings lengthened is great when you're running and you're doing a lot of athletic movements, prioritizing the tempo with that. But just remember that this bloke, at this point of his acting career, mid-season, all the amount of volume that he's doing with acting and stunts, he is using the gym as a supporting tool. right? However, there is no doubt to allow him to be able to do that amount of volume, 8 hours of acting, with God knows how many hours of stunts in a day, he has done the underlying increase in his capacity work. He's done the strength work, and he's built his performance up to a peak, and then it's all about maintenance of performance. It's all about freshness the next day, freshness for the next 3 hours of stunts, freshness for the next set of problem solving and the acting. So he's got his brain power as well the next day. It's very important to be able to look at these actors and influencers and really, really criticize why they're doing it and why that works for them, right? And you've got to ask yourself, fundamentally, would this work for me, right? And the only way it would work for you is if you were on your feet for 8 hours a day and you were doing a lot of brain work as well. You had to be fresh for thinking. So, and also you've got to think, he has earned the right to be here. He has earned the right. I'm going to let it play for a little sec, but he's earned the right to get to where he is because he's done the underlying strength work. At this point of his training, strength doesn't matter. He doesn't need to build any more strength. He just needs to maintain it.
Stop for 2 seconds and really squeezing and engaging those glutes. And then his hands are behind his head, which actually makes the movement a little bit more challenging, engaging a little bit more of the erectors as well. Another key to Henry's training here is really focusing on core strength. So this movement we're doing here is an oblique static hold. And what he's doing here, he's extending his arms, he's holding in his core tight, and basically what this is allowing us to do is activate the transverse abdominals and the obliques at the same time. He's also keeping his glutes engaged. By extending his arms out and then inward.
Core work. He's doing a lot of movements, a lot of rotation, so it's important. He's doing here, because he's doing a lot of rotation with his sword fighting and stuff like that. It's important that he counteract. This is the beauty of this guy. He knows his stuff. He is thinking, counteract the demands. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, counteract the demands. If you're doing Thai boxing, if you're doing skydiving, use the gym to counteract the demands that you're placing your body under. He is doing a lot of this, so he needs to counteract the demands with the static hold. It's applying a rotational force, and his core muscles and his spine has to stabilize, right? So always think, counteract the demands. Use the gym separate to your skill development in your sport. Make sure there is no crossover, and make sure physical capacity development is completely separate from skill development. Don't try and get involved in this grey area because you don't get the best of the strength and you don't get the best of the skill. But fundamentally, make sure that you appreciate where he is currently at. He has obviously built his capacity up so he can be on his feet for 8 hours a day. He's looking in decent shape, he's done his muscle work, he's done his strength work, and now he's at a position where he's just maintaining his performance and counteracting the demands of his sport, which is acting and stunts. I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any questions, just remember, make sure that you don't take in information and don't take, oh, that exercise looks good, I'm going to try that. Try and criticize at a deeper level whether people know what they're talking about. These guys do know what they're talking about, and not everybody does, right? This is a rare find. I'm glad I could show this to you and give him his props, because this is great coaching, very logical coaching, right? Make sure you have the ability, or develop the ability, just to give things a bit more criticism before you take it into your own lives. That's it from me, gentlemen. Hopefully you appreciate that. I'll see you in the next one.